What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am awesome. I am infinitely awesome.
There we go.
To the infinity of awesomeness.
And then we lost it.
There you go. They say that's not a word, but is it?
It's not. No, it's not.
It's not a word. There's no such thing as a made-up word. All words are real.
All words are made-up word, but there are some words that still don't exist.
All words are made up. Well, that's what I'm doing over here, making words up. Hey, okay. There you go. All you got to do is keep saying it, and I'm pretty sure you know what it means.
You say it enough times, and it gets put into the dictionary.
Go ahead and put me down for that one.
And you're going to be up there next to Bootylicious.
I'm giving gifts. I'm just giving gifts out to the world. That's all I'm saying.
You expanded their vocabulary.
I instantly showed you how awesome I am. Just take this and then times in infinity, or however I said it the first time. Put me down for the second one too.
That's what if you're going to say a word over and over again, you have to remember what word it is that you're going to be saying over and over again.
That's why I made a video message right there. First word. Second word. Put me down for both of them. Okay. I'm giving options. Spider, I'm a giver.
Yeah. Nobody can deny that.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing wonderful. Even though it is a little rainy and kind of dreary outside, it's still a wonderful day.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada. Oh, I was just remembering a South Fork song.
But no, it's still a great day. It's a great day because we are here on All Things Super, where if you don't know what this is where we take a piece of superpower TV, trailer, even movies, we watch them, we react to them, we break them down, we review them, and we answer the question, is it super?
Is it?
I don't know. But if you like that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on any of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we like reading comments. There it is.
We like reading the comments. There it is.
I got a question for you, Spider.
And I have an answer for you.
In the MCU, we're talking MCU, Marvel MCU, right?
Yes.
I want to talk about Odin's son.
Why?
Thor has had more losses than wins, though his wins have been outstanding. When I say wins and losses, I'm talking about movie roles. Nothing to do with the actors, nothing to do with the directors. We're just talking about the character, Thor.
Right.
So he came to Earth after being banished, and then all of a sudden, he finds this girl he falls in love with. First movie, take it how you want to take it. It's Thor. This is who he is. Chris Hemsworth had blonde eyebrows. Nobody understood why that happened.
No one understood why that happened.
But we dealt with it. So going into Thor: The Dark World, we got the cast back, and there's a great cast, but the story kind of fell flat, right? No one really knew what was going on, and then we kind of got Infinity Stones, and then kind of didn't.
We got an Infinity Goop.
And then that was kind of retconned then. But
True.
We had Loki, and Loki was just running amok, but, everyone loves character Loki, and Tom Hiddleston plays him to a T. He is the villain of Iron Man. Not to say he's an Iron Man villain, even though they whatever in the comics. What I'm saying is you cannot imagine someone else playing that role besides Tom. Right. That's what I mean. So story-wise, though, we got the Dark Elves, and it's kind of like, we're big here on story. In fact, we talked about it a lot. Do we think because those two movies were bad, we knocked it out of the park with something fresh, something different? They honestly revived the character. They stripped him down to everything and made you feel for him in a comedy kind of way.
I think that, and because of, as we've seen appearing in Thor: Love and Thunder, and if you haven't seen our Thor: Love and Thunder review, go ahead and give that a watch.
Watch that thing, man.
But I think that it was just a superior movie. I think that even had well, I can't say this for sure, but I think had Thor and Thor: The Dark World been better than what they were, I think Thor Ragnarok would have still been great because I think it was just a great movie.
Yes,
I
yes,
will say that it was
yeah,
definitely propelled by its predecessors and how
100%.
how bad they were. Not that
Oh
they
wow, I
were
wasn't gonna. Oh
horrible
wow,
movies,
hey, what is
but
going on right now?
they did not hold up to the caliber of the movies that were surrounding it in the MCU.
Well, some say it takes time to find the direction and the theme that you want to tell. I mean, when you get up to this level, MCU caliber, you would think those things have already been flushed out. But in their defense, you are tying in multiple storylines. And I think that's where we started to see the paint on the wall was actually turpentine. And you didn't really know where you wanted Thor to go.
Right.
Because even Ragnarok had elements of World Hulk, Planet Hulk storylines.
Yeah.
So again, that's not a original Thor story. That's we're safe betting this with the Hulk, kind of like a no lose type of situation. It was a feel
Right.
good movie. It was a
Yeah.
great movie all the way around. So we go into Love and Thunder, and then we want to introduce the other gods, but at the same time, it's so disconnected from the MCU as a whole of what's going on because again, we're not sure where we want to go. We know we want them back at some point.
Right.
If not, let's be honest, the entrance when he came into Wakanda, even Bruce was like, "Oh, y'all screwed now."
Yeah.
And bring me Thanos. He already is up to speed of what's going on. He looking for him. So it's a God entrance. Uh, so we want to attack that again in our storyline. But as of right now, and this is just my opinion, we have no idea really what we want to do with Thor. He showed up, he left with the Guardians. We thought we were going to get the Guardians Thor movie. They played around with that idea. He does his own thing with really no motivations. He's really trying to find himself, which feels odd because that's what he kind of did in the beginning of Ragnarok. He was looking for Infinity Stones, didn't find any, started his own journey to try to find himself. Now we're here,
Well, I think
again.
in Ragnarok, it wasn't necessarily that he was trying to find himself. I think it was
Remember he was
him
talking to the skeleton?
when he was hanging in the cage. Yeah.
Right.
I think that was more of just him reflecting on his journey so far, not necessarily that he was trying to find himself or find his purpose or anything. But in Love and Thunder, we are seeing a Thor who, after after he's just, or I won't say he destroyed, but after he helped orchestrate the destruction of his home world, Asgard is now gone, and now we get him coming to coast with the loss. He lost his father, he lost his mother, he lost his sister, he lost his brother, and
And his best friend.
his best
And,
friend,
and, and his
half his
girlfriend died of
people.
cancer.
Well, this didn't happen yet.
Yeah, well, predicting the future again.
Right. But all of
Sorry.
this stuff that he's going through, and then he has the opportunity to stop Thanos, and he doesn't. And he deals with not only the guilt of not stopping Thanos, but then after they get everybody back, he still felt that he should have been the one to snap the gauntlet. And
He could have.
he could have, and he might have survived. And the thing about it is that dealing with the loss of Tony now, and this is also something that's weighing on him heavily. So after the end of
But he's
Endgame,
1,500 years old. Has no one else died around him?
I'm sure that there have been plenty of people that died
In
around him.
1,500 years? Yeah. I mean, he actually destroys. What is Korg's character? He's a
Cronin.
what? Yeah, he destroyed the Cronin.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the fact that it's death that bothers him. I think it's just the people that he's become closest to.
Oh, okay. 1,500 years.
I mean, yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but in the
How long it take you to kind of So now we're getting into all the character himself. Like
Right.
how much, because your time doesn't work like it does here on Earth. And I'll say that
Right.
because you look at across the property, you got somebody in Star Wars like Grogu. Grogu is 50,
Right.
and that's baby years in their universe. So
Well, not
maybe
necessarily in that
we,
universe, just for his species.
well, his exactly. But we look at like Guardians of the Galaxy, and you and I talked about this before. The maturity level of Groot. You know, he's a
Mm-hmm.
9, 10 foot tree. He was older, but he was still drinking fountain water.
Right.
And then you got, the new Groot, who, but that first Groot was already hundreds of years old, right?
Well, I don't. It was never really. I don't think explicitly stated how old the original Groot was.
He'd look old in the face.
I mean, he's a
Compa-
tree. How long does it take
Compared,
for a tree to look old?
he got too much bark on you. But the new Groot looked young in the face. If nothing else, they made sure they preserved the face.
Right.
I mean, that's driftwood. Everything else, I guess, I don't know.
So, were you going somewhere with with talking about Thor, or
Yes, I was saying that there's another Thor coming out. They already greenlit that idea.
okay,
And Chris continued to say that he'll continue to play Thor, as long as he wants to. And it's the rightful choice of his. And if the studio loves it, I'm pretty sure they'll be happy working together. What I'm saying is Thor 5 clearly is teaming up to Zeus and Hercules to be involved for whatever reason, because we got to stretch it out, I guess, and introduce all other gods and other realms.
okay?
How many people care about that?
I'm sure there are a number of people that care about it. If they're adopting a comic book storyline that people
It's
are a
time
fan
for
of.
a new storyline.
Well, I think that's what they're doing because they're moving
Especially
away
if
from
we
Thor
can't see
being.
Loki.
They're moving away from Thor being involved in Midgard, activities because every Thor movie outside of Love and Ragnarok, he didn't go back to Earth. Ragnarok was the only one where he didn't. The only part he was on Earth was when he was looking for Odin. But Thor 1, of course, he was stranded on Midgard. Thor 2, of course, he came back to Midgard, and
Here's a question:
okay.
Is Kane the Conqueror going to tie into Thor?
Depends on when Thor 5 is coming out. If it's coming out after Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, I'm going to say no.
He needs a villain.
He does need a villain, but I'm
He,
sure
need, he
there.
needs an opposing threat, and I don't think Hercules is going to be that.
I don't think because I mean
Mic
Hercules
drop.
is
I'm done.
Hercules is a foe at best. I wouldn't say that he's
Right.
An antagonist. So I don't believe that it's going to be circling around just
Gore the God Butcher was menacing because he's killing gods.
right.
We didn't get that, but it's this guy's killing gods. Thor's a god, demigod, somewhat. It depends on who's writing what. Okay, so he's up there though. He did go get killed too, because we got some kids that's gonna fight shadows. And anyway, besides that point, what I'm saying is he needs a villain.
And I mean, it's
Like,
just yet to be determined who the villain is going to be. I'm sure he has villains that he's encountered in the comics that we haven't seen in the movies.
yeah, I agree. Who that's gonna be?
That's a question for somebody who's more versed in Thor comics than I am.
And way above my pay grade. Welcome to the show.
Well, that's something that was just on your mind because I'm waiting for you to tie it into what we're talking about today, and it just never came.
Hey man, I was just giving you insight on how my mind works. If you want me to tie it into the show, I could do that too.
No, I'm not saying that you have to. That was just my assumption.
You sure?
That was, I'm
Great, because I didn't have nothing. Got me on that one.
Well, anyway, this week we are going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Again, we are leading up to the premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so we're rewatching and reviewing the other Guardians of the Galaxy films. We're not doing the holiday special. We did a review on the holiday special back when it came out, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and watch that episode. But we did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 2 weeks ago. Last week we did our Mandalorian Season 3 review, but Now we are going into reviewing after our rewatch of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Man, that was a lot that you said just now. And by the way, Thor was a Guardians of the Galaxy at Endgame and the beginning of his movie. So there's your tie-in.
There's your tie.
There's your tie-in. You're welcome. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Peter Quill is amongst his rat bag tag team of hooligans, misfits. If you take it out of sequence and rearrange it, it'll still be wrong. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
But before we start talking about parts of the movie that we liked or didn't like, Mr. VIP Frank Washington, I'll ask because
Yes,
we've gone through different trilogies.
I love our rewatches.
We've had well, not necessarily just rewatches, but in the MCU we've had different trilogies. We've had an Iron Man trilogy. This was back when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out. We had an Iron Man trilogy. We had a Captain America trilogy by this point. We hadn't gotten Thor Ragnarok yet.
No.
But we see with some of these trilogies how...
But we knew a trilogy was coming.
Right, we knew a trilogy was coming. But not even just in the MCU. We noticed that you have some movies, they introduce a sequel after their initial film has been a box office success. But sometimes that sequel doesn't add up or mount up to the original film, and people are left wanting, right? So we're coming up on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but this is, of course, is not just going to be just a third iteration of us seeing these characters. Like you said, we've seen them in Infinity War, we've seen them in Endgame, we've seen them in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, we've seen them in Thor, Love and Thunder.
Right.
So we've gotten used to seeing these people. But after a rewatch of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, after we had high praise for Guardians of the Galaxy 1, after rewatching it, do you feel that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 slumped after the success and acclaim of the first Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh my. Spider, wow, slumped.
I'm asking a question.
I'm just saying, you're using words I could barely spell. Man, that's just it's too much for me. Wow. How long you been sitting on that little nugget?
Like 2 minutes?
A long time. You burn your hand. I think that it did not suck. I think it didn't suck that much in the sense of what were you looking to take away from the story that they were telling?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. James Gunn always give you content inside of his content.
Right.
We've learned that Peter didn't have a regular father. He had a celestial god as a father, which was a planet, which came all the way to Earth and impregnated in its mind probably a seed or an ant. You got to think about the size of a planet coming to another planet and germinating the planet.
Well, I mean, he wasn't the size of a planet when he was traveling.
The story.
No, but he made basically
he germinated the planet. He put his seed in the planet.
He he created a vestige of himself in order to go out and seed other women. So it wasn't the size of a planet going to a
what
woman.
What happens when he takes over? He takes over the whole planet.
He takes over the whole planet, but are you talking about him planting the seeds in the earth? Or are you talking about him planting seeds in the female species?
Welcome to the show. So what I'm saying is so he gave you context. In the second one, in the first one, it was a mystery. Then the second one, we got confirmation, and we also find out that he's not the greatest of dads. He's been murdering his own children.
Yes,
just because they didn't hold the celestial gene that he wanted to have in them to seed other planets and other places.
Right.
For someone who thought he was alone, he realized he wasn't alone, and then he wanted to be everybody else. It's weird planet talk. That's weird planet energy. I don't understand how that's the goal. I would think you want to make friends and have someone to talk to, but not if you're just going to Maybe he was into uni minds. I don't know. That's a
No, I mean, maybe as a celestial, he did seem like he felt that he was of a higher importance than other people. So maybe he wasn't looking for friends. He was just looking to be everywhere.
unity.
No,
Unity.
it's completely different.
Unity's dad. It's kind of in the same sense. If it's the same thing, you
Well,
think
I
about
don't
it.
think it was really of a hive mind type thing because I don't think it was that. Well, maybe it would have been had he
We never seen that
succeeded.
tentacle thing. Yeah, we never seen that tentacle thing hit somebody else. How do we know it wouldn't be an extension of him coming through that person?
No, well,
Which would make sense.
they never said that. They never put that forward as one of his abilities. So who knows?
Hey, I'm just over here building my own universe. That's all. But I'm saying, the Guardians, the James Gunn gave you stuff inside, so it's not like you're not getting content or an
Right.
explanation. I mean, even with the holiday special, you did get a reveal that Mantis was Peter's sister, which it was hinted at in too. We seen a mantis type of creature that Eagle got on with.
Right.
I remember seeing it when I saw the movie the first time. I was like, "Hey, she looks like her." And I like to play those little games to find the difference in the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So I easily caught that. I was like, "Yep, I got that. What's going on with that?" And it was never explained. But now you got retcon,
Right.
and now it makes sense. Okay, I can buy it, even if that wasn't the case. It matches up.
Yeah.
So you got action, you got great CGI. I mean, I have yet to see any bad CGI. Even in the rewatches, it still kind of holds up. I
Yeah.
mean,
I agree with that.
and that's the thing that I wanted to ask you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
In going back and looking at these rewatches, which I can't wait till we rewatch Iron Man 1, just because sometimes you need that in your life. But they stand up. A lot of the, there was not as much CGI, and a lot of the stuff was practical.
Right.
Do you think that's what's missing on these new sets? Because clearly, Love and Thunder was shot in the majority of the screen,
Right.
which is interesting because you still get the set unique
Photos.
photos. So just shoot it outside, let people see it. But then it leaks.
Mm-hmm.
But still promotion because that's not the finishing touch.
No,
It's
that's
still
still
gonna look amazing on screen.
right. But no, I do agree with that. I do think that a lot of the properties now that have come out recently have been over CGI. Because I mean, that's all Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was. It was just them in a giant.
That makes sense, though.
But I mean, in some parts, you could make a practical set, like the village that they were in, right? If that would have actually been on a practical set where they had a set design on a studio backlot where they designed this, this set and everything. And yeah, you're not going to be able to have the moving buildings like that's of course going to be CG. But as far as the background, having the background off in a distance and you be on a physical set instead of having like everything else kind of around you being all CG. It's like there was, of course,
clearly
understandably,
those moving buildings were important.
yes, the moving buildings were important.
You seen them hold a little building in their home
Yeah,
when they were
it was very devastating to see a building die. But no, there are some places where just practical effects could be a little bit better. I think that was probably one of the best things, and like you said, with Iron Man 1, if we go back to watch that again, it'll be a little bit better because in parts of it he was actually in his suit. Right. Instead of, just in the mocap bodysuit and then his armor gets digitally put on him afterwards. And like I can understand because especially within the later in Infinity War, he had, nanotech. So of course that's going to be a CGI suit. And then, the stunts and everything. So yeah, that's going to be CG. So yes, there is going to be a level of,
But that was the Downey effect too, right? As you seen, he became Iron Man.
Right.
You saw the evolution of him, which only makes you that more gut wrench when you see him pass because you've been on this journey from the cave to him coming back from Model 1, Model 2, to giving it all up for the woman that he loves, just to turn around and have to get it back, to trying to step away again to be with the woman that he loves and start a family, and be asked to give it up again to turn around and be sacrificed at the end, because that's the hero's game, right? He knew the risk going in, but at the same time, how could he have not gotten involved, being the fact that he knows what he knows, and if there's like Natasha said, if there's a chance, he did it for Peter. He did it for everyone else that was gone. He did it for they have a right to live. So we get more story with trilogies, but at the same time, you got to be able to tell a story overall. I was just talking to Keisha. Yeah, I was eavesdropping. I was like, what is going on in here? And she was like, you got a knife. And I was saying, how's her show? Because she was watching a show. I won't reference the show because I wasn't paying attention to that part. But she was saying they took a concept and it could have been a movie, but they stretched it out to almost like a docu-series. So it's like a decision that could have been easily answered, but they kind of So as writers, creators, artists, and people involved in storytelling, you have to see if that's an approach that you want to use, slow it all the way down, or tell a tight, keep it moving type of event story. If you're smart, you know how to make us fall in love with the character, because you give us those moments that define who they are. So when they overarch that narrative of what they have to go through, we're either cheering with them or we're devastated because we all took the blow. Because we remember in the cave, you was putting this thing around your leg, and people haven't figured out that's not how a Jericho missile is supposed to look, because they haven't seen nothing on that missile that looked like he launched it with his leg or he was on a skateboard. But you say, does this match up? And they looking at the prints and they saying, no, it don't. But nobody came in there and say, disturb his genius or something. And then Raza came in there. He was like, look, I know you ain't building my missile. You got something going on. The very next day, when he went to go check his taxes, man, Tony broke out of that thing. And we was like, yeah. And Terrence Howard's there.
He didn't even have to bring that man's name up.
First of all, I was giving shout outs to Terrence Howard.
I mean, sure, okay.
What? Where'd that question come from? Did you not enjoy the rewatch?
I'm not saying. I'm asking you because I know how we've talked about going into these sequels before. We've talked about other movies and how they had a sequel, how the sequel wasn't necessarily as good as the beginning, as the first one. But
I know what you're looking for. In superhero stories. In superhero stories, they have the sequel trope. Sequel trope is the hero will end up losing their powers. Right. At some level point in time, they're dealing with an internal crisis, or it's overwhelming, or they're stepping away from the life, or,
Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 both did that.
Exactly. And Superman did that in Superman 2. Any Batman movie, when they lay on his mortality, he can't go forever. So The Dark Knight, they said that, Batman can't continue to do this forever. He needs somebody to do it in the light. In a sense, he was losing his power and he was stepping away from the light because he wanted to have a life with Rachel. So the idea of Batman not existing anymore, in a way, is like losing his power on the second Dark Knight. So that's a trope that happens in superhero movies, and we really kind of didn't get that in Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn went an opposite way. We already dealt with loss in the first one. So in the second one, we got discovery. We discover who our father is. We're discovering Gamora and Peter are closer. We're discovering there's a family unit coming together, because 2 is where we start to mend fences with Nebula.
Right.
You know, two is when you get um, Mantis. You get Mantis. She's in the fold now because we're moving forward, telling a different story. She's
Mm-hmm.
stepping away from breaking the trope of they got to lose their power. We already got lost. We lost Groot, but we got a new Groot, a baby Groot, and this one dance. Look at it. Don't look, Drax. Which is odd. Which is odd to me because earlier in that same scene, Drax was getting pounded and seeing Groot dancing already.
I don't know. I don't know why they kept that. I don't know why it was a joke in the beginning at the post credit scene of Guardians 1. I don't know why they kept the running joke in Guardians 2.
But look at him go. There you go. I was hoping to see a Grogu Groot dance off, bro.
You're never gonna see that's never gonna happen.
They're owned by Disney.
They are owned by Disney.
And someone on the internet is talented. So
I don't know the day we will see an MCU Star Wars collaboration. I mean, Star Wars exists in the MCU though. Peter and Ned were building the Death Star in Legos.
There's your tie-in. Oh, they leave clues. Love it, you love.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars as a medium. It's Star Wars as a medium, not Star Wars. The actual characters exist in the MCU, so you can have, and it's not
the
even
multiverse of madness.
And it's not even Baby Groot anymore. Groot is an adult now. It's Swole Groot. So you want a Swole Groot and Grogu dance off?
Did they not have I Am Groot on Disney Plus? I Am Groot.
So then that was supposed to be what happened while Baby Groot was a baby. So if we were to get an I Am Groot sequel and Groot is dancing with Grogu, then that means that at some point between Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, they went to the galaxy and found Din Djarin and
Sir Din Djarin. Oh no, he's not a sir. He's just a den. He's a living room. He's a living room set. he's a therapy session.
But no, I will say that as far as
that's called retcon. Go ahead.
As far as Volume 2 is concerned, like I said, the running joke about Baby Groot not dancing in front of Drax for whatever reason. No, and you are right. They didn't fall into that sequel trope of following behind the first, and basically powering down our hero in order to be, because of course the first movie is the origin story. The first movie is the hero discovering the powers. Second movie is them losing their powers and then having to find it within themselves to regain them and build it back up again to be the hero that they feel that the people deserve. But that
if you're nothing without this suit, you don't deserve it.
Yeah. But he did say that one in the first one, though.
Hey, you got an origin story over the 3 movies.
You did, but like you said, James Gunn went a different direction with it. And one thing that I find amusing now, knowing what we know now, not knowing, back then when we watched it, James Gunn has gone on record and saying that even though we're following Peter in these movies, Rocket is the silent protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing that the first time we watched the movie, I'm thinking, okay, everything is about Quill. We see Quill when he loses his mom. We go follow him, on his journey to pulling together the Guardians. And then in the second movie, we see Quill find out who his dad is and dealing with all of that. But knowing now that Rocket is the silent protagonist and going back and doing these rewatches and watching Rocket's progression and everything, because not only did we get sort of character, I guess we could say we got character knowledge from Peter. I won't say we necessarily got character development because I don't think he really evolved as a person.
He really dropped the ball when he hit Thanos in the face, huh?
Exactly. And the thing about it is, and kind of a nod to that, Aisha, the high priestess of the Sovereign, when she was saying, who is your, what is your genealogy? And he's like, well, my mother was from Missouri and my dad, I don't know. And she's like, well, something in you is reckless. And it was
Right.
just like,
Which he had just learned something was going on with him before.
right.
And Xandar, they looked into his DNA. And
Hmm.
now she's like saying the same thing in a sense on the spiritual realm. And then we get introduced to his celestial side.
Right. But even though we see that, Ego's dead, his connection to that light energy is gone, that personality, that part of Ego was still in him. He's still, a product of his father. And going into Infinity War, he became reckless. And it was because of his actions that, they weren't able to succeed as they thought they would have. But we get the character knowledge or the character character knowledge or the character reveal, details revealing about a character with Peter, but we actually get some character growth from Rocket, because we see the beginning of the movie, Rocket still is the I was about to say Harvey Larry batteries, the Annulax batteries.
There's nothing like this.
Drax got me all messed up.
There's nothing like he said.
What are these batteries called? Annulax batteries, Harvey Larry batteries. Nothing like anything
Nothing.
said.
Exactly.
But so Rocket steals the batteries, and when they get caught, he's not remorseful about it. He really doesn't care that they got shot down out of the sky and their ship is basically trash at this point. He goes off on Quill, like,
I don't know
why I
what,
stole it, because I wanted to.
I don't know what WD-40 spray that he used to fix the ship,
Listen,
but I need some of that.
Rocket is a genius.
What?
I say Rocket is a genius. We don't question his tools.
Hey, here's what I want to say. That I knew. You said who knew? I knew, and I'm gonna say two things about what you just said. Mm-hmm. One is, oh yeah, Rocket's catchphrase.
Yeah.
Second thing is, I knew James Gunn made him the actual character. And I'm going to tell you how I knew Spider.
Okay.
Chances are you guys knew too, but didn't think through things about it. I watched those little games that you could point out the difference in. So I was like, there it is right there. James Gunn went to the premiere of Guardians with a raccoon on
Didn't know that.
on his shoulder. Yeah, there's no way you're going to walk around with a raccoon on your shoulder and not have that connection.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I brought the guy that I'm working with, and I'm going to give you guys this guy, and this my guy.
Right.
But I think he came to a lot of premieres with the raccoon on his shoulder.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if it was a raccoon that's, because Rocket's not a raccoon.
Right.
Just want everybody to know that. They're blatantly lying to your face. If it looks like a cat, it's probably a flurry. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
So we don't know. We got to take them for their word. Yes, I knew he was a star, but that doesn't mean that the story wasn't great, right?
No.
You're saying differently.
No, what I'm saying is
you get Celestials in here.
Right, but what I'm saying is that upon rewatch, I'm because of course, like we said, it's always great to see things that you didn't notice the first couple times that you watched it. So I'm watching how Rocket is perceived. And because we know, of course, we already know that Rocket is a genetically enhanced biological organism that was made by the High Evolutionary. So going into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we see with all the trailers that it's going to be centered around Rocket. And it's just some of the things that I didn't pick up on before when I was watching Guardians Volume 2 was how he said when they were going through the quantum asteroid field. Again, you guys just put quantum in front of everything.
Hey, it works.
But when they were going through the quantum asteroid
field, quantum T right here.
Rocket said that I was genetically designed to fly a spaceship. And it's like when I first watched Guardians Volume 2, it was just I heard him say it, but at that point, you're still enjoying the rest of the movie and everything that's going on because there's a big action scene. But for me, I didn't focus on what he said. I heard what he said, but I didn't focus on what he said. And then going into the climactic argument between Yondu and Rocket. And now that we know a little bit more about Rocket's past and how Rocket had a relationship with an otter type looking organism named Lila, and Yondu says, "I know those scientists that made you
There
didn't
you
give a
go.
rat's ass about you." And he
There you
said,
go.
Every time anybody gets a little close to you and you feel a little bit of love, you push them away, you shut them out, and
Seeds leading to this
exactly. And so
third
we're leading
movie.
into this third movie, and we're seeing that
It's almost like egos involved. Just
because not
laying
only
on seeds,
not only
impregnating that brain,
not only is
brain cover.
The ongoing theory is that at some point Rocket lost Lila, or Rocket got separated from Lila, and so that was somebody that he was really close to. And then not only that, he was close to Groot, as we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And then Groot
I am
died.
Groot.
And then after
Yeah.
Groot died, that, of course, that might have, even though he's still, of course, very close to Baby Groot, that might have been, another reason why he was trying to push all of the other Guardians away, just basically being an asshole to all of them. And we see that
When he had that conversation with Peter in the beginning when he were leaving the ship.
yeah, but not only that, when they're on Planet Ego, and Quill and Ego are fighting, and he gives the jetpack and the bubble suit to Yondu, and he flies out with Groot, and Drax and Gamora, they're all asking Rocket, "Where's Quill? Where's Quill? We can't leave without Quill." And Gamora,
And him stopping Gamora before he go out there saying, "I can't lose two friends today."
Right. I can only lose one friend a day. And you can see that even though, Yondu told him about himself, he still is like, I can't keep losing people, And they even have that parallel when Rocket's talking to Thor in Infinity War, and Thor's telling him about, all the people that he's lost. And Rocket even said, "Hey, everybody got dead people," And it's like,
right.
We know now that all of
The
this
chick
stuff
with
that
the
Rocket,
antennas.
yes, the chick with the antennas.
When he named off his list,
Yeah,
Mora, Quill, Drax, the chick with the antennas.
but we get this understanding of everything else that Rocket is going in through, and like I said, that character progression with Rocket, and how we see him being just an asshole at the beginning of the movie, and how we see his compassion come out for all of the rest of the Guardians.
His family.
Right, his family. And
it's
then
down to the root.
And and it's just, I love all the different parallels, because where Rocket is getting to learn that, these people are now his family, these are people that are close to him, that are important to him, we get Quill sort of struggling with that decision that he's made to stick by these people, because now he's arguing with Gamora, because Gamora is trying to tell him, something's not right here, something's really going on, that, Manus chick, I don't trust her. She was about to tell Drax something, and then she kind of just shut down. And so Quill's getting mad at her, and it's like, well, you the one that told me to go with them. You're the one that told me to come here, and now because I'm getting close to him, I'm trying to find out, I'm fine. He said, now that I finally found my family, now you want me to leave. And Gamora says, I thought you already had found your family.
Right there. What you have done, sir, is point out one of the things that separate James Gunn from other directors. We're not going this way. We're going this way. Come on, come along. See how this story plays out, because it's not the typical beats and the typical tropes that you're used to. It's like, wait a minute. You told me to go. And now that I said that, we know what's going on. Because how could you know what's going on if you didn't go? Did you have an option not to go? Because if you didn't go, what would Ego have done then? Would he have kidnapped you?
Right.
Because clearly he was looking for you. He said when he heard about a human holding an Infinity Stones, well, I just knew I had to come.
Right.
Without the country accent, he said it better. The point is, he found them, and he came right down to the planet where they crashed at.
Yep.
I think he was coming for abduction. I'm just saying, the way that they framed it, kind of like aliens without the The little silhouette opened up. What is that? A jelly bean he was flying in?
I don't, some
Is that
egg looking type thing. I don't know.
is that sperm? Spider, tell me the truth. Did we
Let's
see
see.
sperm? Is that MCU sperm
I hope
impregnating another planet?
not. I hope not.
Okay, because goddamn, Rick and Morty had already exploited that too much.
But it would have been just too easy for him to kind of dispatch all the Guardians at once, have Manus put Quill to sleep, and then just bring him back to Ego. So I think that
You already seen how scary she was.
Right.
If she attacked, can they fight her off? I think Gamora could swing with her, but at the same time, we didn't know
but we
the
saw
skills that she have.
we saw that even though Gamora, because when Gamora and Nebula found all the bones and everything, and Gamora came back, she jumped on Manus and like had her up by her throat and was like, tell me what's going on. Manus grabbed her arm and said, you are afraid. And Gamora was like,
Change the game. Change the game. What'd you do to me? Change the game.
Exactly. So even if at some point, Mantis had to defend herself, all she has to do is get her hands on one of them, and she could just do what
one of the most powerful
she could
entities in the MCU.
She could do what that dragon in Shazam: Fury of the Gods was supposed to do. Paralyze somebody with feet.
Ooh. Without all the dragon smoke.
Without all the blue flames and all of that other stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah, big contrast right there between MCU and DC. Big contrast. But yeah, that's frightening, man, because you already seen she's agile, and, we got a great, in Guardians 1, a great little fight scene going against all the different abilities, Groot with his stretching tentacles, and Rocket with his weapons, Quill with his gadgets, and Gamora with her skill. That would have been interesting to see how it plays out. Some things you would like to see play out.
Right.
Rest in peace to the King Chadwick Boseman. If he even admitted when it was Dora Milaje against Scarlet Witch, I would like to see that. As much as I want to see that, because don't disrespect or downgrade what these goddesses can do. Like the Dora Milaje train all day, all night, like a trap. And they go get us. Go get us. Yeah.
But I mean, Wanda got chaos magic, so it would be interesting.
No, not Wanda. Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Think back to Civil War.
Are you talking
about... not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. Sorry. Okay. I apologize.
That's what I was to say. Yeah. So, no, Black Widow would get demolished. We know our lane. Black Widow would get demolished by the Dora Milaje.
Damn. What you got against the Soviets? So what the hell?
I don't have anything against the Soviets. I'm just saying.
That's why she was trained in the Red Room. I'm just
saying, if it came to, between the two.
Wow.
I just feel like Dora Milaje is superior.
Wow. I just want you to know, I do not disagree with you at all. Just letting you know that right now. I agree with 2,000%, 3,000%.
But one thing, like, I'm glad you kind of mentioned the whole fight scene between all the Guardians, and we kind of getting introduced to all of their different abilities, and Rocket's tech genius and all this other kind of stuff. We got that when they were fighting outside, and then we got that when they were fighting to escape the prison, right?
Right.
I don't feel like
and he's quick. He stacks gadgets together.
Yeah.
Like in a Lego movie where the Master Builders do.
He does.
That's how I see that.
He really does. Also starring Chris Pratt. It's all connected.
Theme going on. Hey, what do you think that Rocket should be more of a Pedro Pascal figure since he's raising Groot? He has okay. Let me tell you where this came from.
Okay.
In Infinity War Endgame, when everybody got dusted, they have gone in confirmation saying that the Groot last words to Rocket was, "Go ahead,
Dad,
tell the people, father." Yep, there it was.
Referred to.
There it was. And at the same time, he was the one that did take a twig of Groot, planted him, and raised him. In a sense, let's go back even further. He was the one telling them, stop lying, when he was drinking out of the fountain.
Right.
He's also told him to stop putting other things in his mouth and don't eat that. And then he was a baby with a Ravager outfit on, and he threw up
I would definitely say that Rocket is, when you think about who is Groot's main caretaker, it would definitely be Rocket.
There
But
you go.
it was showcased in Volume 2 how everybody kind of took
Kind of
care of
steps
Groot.
in.
Yeah,
Yep.
because
They
you got
grab him and throw
they do grab him and throw him,
him. Just
but
catch him. Here he comes.
you saw, Gamora holding Groot, telling him to make sure he, holds on tight. When Gamora went to go get Drax and Groot was in the in the seat just eating M&Ms, Quill told Groot to put your seatbelt on. We get to the funeral scene when Yondu is being shot out into space. Groot comes to sit next to Quill. Quill kind of holds him, while they're listening to music together. Then he brings him out to Gamora. Gamora holds him. She gives him to Drax. Drax holds him. He falls asleep on Drax's shoulder. So they've all had a little bit of a part, raising baby Groot. But yeah, I think.
James Gunn is genius, sir. Where else are you going to get that tie in? Who's tying your story in, making it homely and comfortable, and sowing these oats of seeds of germination to grow root trees? It makes sense if you don't think about it. What I'm saying is, you see the family dynamic coming together. Here's a question, Spider. Question. Are we going to see that in the third?
Do I think they're gonna have the family dynamic in Volume 3? Yeah, absolutely.
Got to have something to tie it all in.
Yeah, because especially everything we've seen in the trailers, where we finally find Gamora, right? We get reunited with Gamora, but of course it's not our Gamora that we lost. So we have an entire unit of people now that are going to basically try to fight with Quill to remind her how much they all meant to each other, right? Because if Quill is going to win Gamora back, that's the only way that he can do it. Because we saw, even in Volume 2, we see that relationship progressing between Quill and Gamora, where first they...
Yeah, it's an unspoken thing.
Right, it's an unspoken thing. And to say it would no longer be unspoken, so that's why you can't talk about it. But we see, this relationship developing.
Right?
And, and it's because of... And we still picked up because Guardians of the Galaxy 1 took place in 2014. This is still in 2014 in Volume 2. We don't know exactly how far apart, but it's still in 2014. So, but we don't know how much time Quill and Gamora spent with each other. We get the reveal that Quill told Gamora that he used to pretend that his father was David Hasselhoff. That's what we would tell the kids. He was off filming Knight Rider or touring with his band. And he was like, yeah, I told you that in confidence. So we don't know how many of these private conversations that Quill and Gamora have had. So we don't know how much bonding or how much strengthening that they've done with the bond between them by revealing secrets about each other. And then, of course, we go all the way into Infinity War and how that relationship was, strengthened even further based on how much time had passed between, Volume 2 and Infinity War. So that's a lot for Quill to have to try to recreate in a short period of time. And I think that with Nebula being there and how Nebula is basically helping them run nowhere right now. And so it's a complete deviation from where that Gamora knew that Nebula was basically trying to kill the Avengers because they had the Infinity Gauntlet, or the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet, right? And so that Nebula is a whole lot different than the Nebula that we have in our MCU. So part of that in...
Notice the difference, though. James Gunn and his genius. Notice the difference, though. Nebula, in every iteration, even with Ronan, teamed up with the Guardians. If you're trying to take my dad down,
I'm riding with you.
I'm going to ride with you. Or she was going to go do it herself. Because when she was with the Ravagers, that she actually saved Rocket from getting killed. She was like, I'm going to hunt my dad down and destroy him for what he did to me.
Find me an arm.
That's
Find me a
her
ship.
MO. That's her goal. And then if your motive's the same as mine, I'll rock with you. Till she came across the Guardians and she wanted her sister.
Right.
Because again, when you're being tortured, you got somebody that's being tortured right there with me. Though, like you said in one of our episodes, Gamora is cybernetically enhanced as well.
Right.
Just not as much as Nebula is.
Right. Exactly.
So we're getting tortured together. I just needed a sister. I'm going through it.
Right.
And man, those deep down storytelling beats, woo, James,
But
you did it again.
Not only that, but we get the deep storytelling beats mixed in with the comedy, because we get, like you said, when she's leaving the Ravagers, give me an arm, give me a ship. And so Kraglin is walking, and I love Kraglin. Kraglin is such a great character. He's walking out of the ship. He's like, yeah,
brother.
we're going to bring Yondu to go bring Yondu. Where were they bringing him?
To Colorful Lights in the Space.
No, before Yondu died. They were bringing him back to Xandar. They were bringing Yondu to Xandar, and they were bringing Rocket to Aisha on the Sovereign Planet. And so Kraglin's like, we're going to drop him off after, you leave. We'll wire you your cut. And so he was like, so what are you going to do with your cut? And so Nebula goes into talking about how she was tortured, how, she's going to kill Thanos, and, she's going to come after Gamora and everything. And Kraglin was like, I was thinking maybe like a pretty necklace or maybe a hat. It's like, you know what? Right? If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And just
so here's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Just be able to have that deep, sincere monologue from Karen Gillan, and you could hear the pain and the determination in Nebula's voice about how much she hates Thanos, even though she was still going along with his plan. She detests him, and we saw that when Thanos called Gamora his favorite daughter. Right in front of Nebula in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And so yeah, thanks, Dad. But so we get to see that determination and that drive in Nebula's voice, and then it's immediately cut with a joke. But the joke doesn't cheapen what we just heard from Nebula, but then also what we heard from Nebula doesn't make the joke not funny.
Less, right.
And just
nice marriage, right? That nice balance.
Yeah, exactly. That balance is just, that's something that I feel like few directors can do.
Hey, here's the thing, though, and just going to back up what I was saying before. That's the thing. She aligns herself with those who align with that goal in Endgame, in Infinity War. No, in Endgame. Sorry, I merged them all in the same movie. She comes full circle in seeing her father get killed.
Right.
As much as they made it a point to show Nebula's face. In fact, blood trickled on her face when Thor went for the head.
Right.
And the look on her face, she's dealing with the fact that her father was killed, and we don't get a conclusion of how she really feels about it. That's powerful because that existed, and they made it a point to show her face. The other thing is the twist, the opposite way, when we go back and we get the Nebula of old and the Nebula of new, that Nebula was faithful to her father.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I am going ham for him, and to see her break down because of what he's doing to her was the only way that the other Nebula that we've gone through these tributes with can take advantage and execute her old self.
Right.
Wow. James Gunn.
It's deep. But so that brings us to the question, Mr. VIP Frankie Washington, after this rewatch of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is it super?
God dang already super. I don't understand what the world's going on. I told you I enjoy the rewatches. And look, we get deep on these rewatches because there's a lot more stuff to get into. We're definitely looking at overall story. We're looking at the narrative. We're looking at if all these things line up. That's what makes the stuff super, not just, candy and popcorn, though candy and popcorn do
Candy and
taste
popcorn.
good.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes
again,
you
great
need the
balance.
veggies.
A great balance.
Mm. I'm sorry, my sip was my syrup got sipped on. Mr. Spider, who went up this water spout. Be careful.
Oh, it's falling apart. Falling
Yeah,
apart.
we're collecting rainwater. Hey, did you think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Baby Groot dance moves were they super, sir?
I mean, Baby Groot's dance moves were definitely adorable, but no, it's just James Gunn has a way with storytelling, and he had this plan on how what he wanted to do with the Guardians. You took a relatively unknown group of characters in the first Guardians
Yeah.
movie, and you made them lovable. And not only did you make them lovable, you started bringing in different characters, and you made them lovable as well. Because I feel
Cherry
like
bomb.
we feel the same about Nebula and Mantis now as we do about all the galaxies, all the Guardians, and Kraglin included. I feel like they're all a vital part of this team that we have now going forward, and you can't achieve that without your movie being super.
And here's the thing, because we have so much character growth with each of them, even Kraglin, you mentioned Kraglin, how he got Yondu's arrow and he hasn't mastered it yet. I'm pretty sure he's going to master it in this version
Yeah,
because he's had some time with it. Even in a Christmas special, he said he's still working on it.
right.
So now we get to see that pay off. But the problem
But not only
is,
that, before we move too far away from Kraglin, we saw that, of course, we even mentioned in the last episode, when they had quills around it, and Yondu was like, "Well, let me teach you something." And Kraglin was like, "Captain's going to teach stuff." And so Kraglin even told Yondu this. He was like, "I'm not one that always stuck up for you. I was your like I'm your right hand man. I'm always sticking up for you, but you really treat Quill like none of the rest of us matter." And so we got, even when they were on
yeah,
that snow
the
planet,
mutiny. He
yeah,
said he would never try to make everybody mutiny. He just
yeah.
wanted to be heard, I guess.
But we saw that progression where when Taserface was first bringing it up, and Kraglin was like, "Hey, chill out." Like but he even said, he was like, "If you feel that Yondu's going so soft, why are you still whispering?" So Kraglin was
That
still
part.
about it. But we saw him and he was the one, and you could hear like the pain in his voice, like we are being mistreated. But then after that, he saves Yondu and all this other kind of stuff, and then we get, once the rest of the Ravagers come, and we see that Yondu is getting the Ravager funeral, and then we see the emotion on Kraglin's face because he's so proud of his captain
Right,
that he
right.
got something that he always wanted.
Depth in these characters, man. James Gunn does it, and he's gonna do it again coming up with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The sad part about it is because he's so good at what he does, we're
We
going.
lost him. We got to switch
Yeah,
over to
that's
DC to see the rest of his property.
Marvel fumbled that over tweets. Come on, let's talk about it. Here's the
We'll
thing,
talk about
though.
that on a different episode.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. We're gonna hurt because if we lose any of this new iteration that we have grown to fall in love with over the progression of several movies, that bring your tissue to the theater. You're gonna cry. And
Absolutely.
if you don't cry, you may want to see somebody about that. You may be a little maybe a little MCU missing
It might
inside.
be
I'm not gonna say you're dead
might
inside.
have
I'm just gonna say
some repressed feelings inside that you might want to go ahead and let out.
clearly you don't love these characters like you say you do. But I'm waiting to see it, man. Let's
Let's
go!
go.
James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Then we're gonna get a new team. Are we gonna love the new team like we did the old team?
We'll have to see how they develop. But let us know what you thought about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, what you thought about this video. Let us know what you hope to see for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And let us know in the comments. Come back after you watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and let us know in the comments of this video if you cried. We want to know. But remember, if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on any of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we would like to read the comments. I
And
thought
we
y'all
like
knew that
reading the
already.
comments.
I thought y'all knew that already.
But it's exciting. Only a few more days. Only a few more
Hey,
days.
I'm already telling you, I already went to the future and saw the movie. I just came back to do the review real quick for this one.
Okay.
I'll come back and do the review for that one after y'all get to where I was. What? You're welcome. I'm a giver. I'm such a giver, Spider. I'm such a giver. Yeah, I love it.
But we will see you all in the next episode where we break down and review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But until then, keep being super.
That part.